Hey, man.
What's going on?
Nothing.
What do you want to tell me about?
Have you ever heard of the Tamam Shud case?
Tamam Shud?
Yeah, case. What about this? Have you ever heard of the Somerton Man?
The Somerton Man?
Yeah.
Tamam Shud. That's a name?
No.
Oh.
It's the name of the case, the Tamam Shud case.
Tamam Shud? Is it one word?
No, it's 2 words. Tamam.
Okay.
Shud.
Tamam. To mom.
Tamam.
From Shud.
And it was a case.
Yeah. Postage from Somerton. The Somerton Man?
The Somerton Man.
That sounds like it's going to be an alien thing, but let's do it.
Gosh, I wish it's not.
The Somerton Man?
This has nothing to do with... Actually, you know what? There could be some aliens. If I wanted there to be, I could make it happen.
Yep. That's exactly how all alien stories work. If you want it, you can make it up.
If you want it, you can add them.
Is Somerton a place?
Yes. So...
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's start from the beginning of the story.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who this guy is so I can marry his actual granddaughter.
I think this guy did it, okay?
You think this guy did it?
I think this guy did it.
A pretty mobster thing to leave with a dead body.
And so he started digging, doing some research.
Literally or figuratively?
Figuratively.
Okay.
Well...
Tamam, should I look further into this?
Things I learned last night.
We'll start from the middle. Let's start from the middle and see where we end up.
Okay, so the manager of one of the railroad stations in Adelaide called the police and said that they found a briefcase.
Thank you for going with that bit. That was really good. But you gave away a little bit too much there. There's a briefcase?
There is a briefcase. We'll get to that. We'll take it back to the beginning.
Okay, go ahead.
On December 1st, 1948, at Somerton Park Beach, which is a beach in Adelaide, Australia, someone, I don't know why I'm laughing at this, someone found a dead guy.
Wow, dude.
It was 1948.
Shut up. That's not.
Time.
Yeah, I mean, he's dead either way, but that doesn't make it fine. What do you mean? Why are you giggling?
Because I was going to originally...
1948. You're not going to believe it.
In my head.
A guy. It died? Like, what are you freaking...
Well, no, in my head, what I was going to do was I could be like, on the beach, they found this. And I was going to throw the picture of him, like, clearly, like, like, on, like, a bed, like, a dead table at the police station.
Hold on a second. This is a well-dressed man.
He is.
I think I saw an article about this.
Really?
I didn't read the article.
Interesting.
I never do. I just look at the picture and I go, this is a dead guy. Get that off our screen. That guy's dead?
Yeah. Well, the reason I laughed is because I was going to throw this on the stage or on screen.
And be like, they found this
on the beach. But it's clearly like on the table. He's clearly on the table at the police station.
Okay.
And so that's why I was laughing because I was like, they didn't find that on the beach.
Dude, people who listen to this already think you're a bad person. Like, you don't got to try to work your way out of it.
Okay, great.
Okay, so that guy was dead.
Yeah, so there's a couple horseback riders.
But he's in like a full...
beach
suit, like not a suit.
Yeah.
But a button-up shirt and a tie.
Yeah. So there's
on the beach.
There's a lot of peculiarities about this. The people that found
they finally figured it out.
Horseback riding, and they're just trotting along the beach, and they see this guy laying up against some rocks on the beach.
Okay.
And so they went over and they're like, "Oh, this guy fell asleep on the beach, and he's wearing a suit. That's a little strange." And so they went over. They started shaking his legs a little bit to try to wake him up, and they're like, "Oh, he's not gonna wake up." So then they called the police.
And they were like,
they're like, you're not going to
believe what we just found down here. We're just riding our horses.
Sir, are you laughing? No, that was the horse.
No, it's the horse neighing. Are you laughing? Nay. So they called the police and they were like, hey, there's a guy down here who's very well dressed.
Yeah, so the police come.
I think we found Joseph A. Bank. And I don't like the way he looks. Is that?
No, that's Men's Warehouse.
I always get him confused.
Which is why you don't like the way he look. If it was
That's
Men's
true.
Warehouse, you'd like the way he looked.
That's true.
Anyways, so the police got there. They began their investigation. And what they found was interesting.
This is in Australia.
This is in Australia, 1948, December 1st.
Yeah. What do they find when they show up?
Well, one, he had very little on him.
Except for clothes.
Well, yeah. So he had very little items, personal items. He didn't have a wallet. He didn't have any ID.
Okay.
He had a lit cigarette that, I mean, it wasn't lit anymore. It burnt out.
Okay.
A burnt out cigarette.
How long
and a lighter.
did they estimate how long they thought he had been there?
Yeah, they think he died overnight at this point.
Oh, okay.
And so, and
He's
then
like a week old.
No,
Yeah,
it wasn't like he'd been decaying. So burnt out cigarette. I can't remember if it was a lighter or matches. Something to light the cigarette with.
Sure.
Firework.
Gotta light it quick.
Quick before it shoots away.
Dadgummit.
Gotta use another.
You're
bottle
using
rocket.
a very. You gotta light the firework. So he's got a lighter
and then
to light
the
that.
firework.
Oh, dadgummit.
Gosh, why is this so hard? They should really make a way to do this straight to the cigarette.
Okay. Is he trying to light it with a punk? He's just got a cigarette trying to light it with a punk?
What's strange is, other than that, he has no personal effects except for a folded up piece of paper. And that piece of paper has printed on it, not written, printed, the phrase Tamam Shud. No one knows what that means.
How do you spell it?
TANAM space
Tamam.
SHUD. Shud.
Okay.
Tamam Shud. The police have no idea what that means. Another peculiar thing is he's wearing this full suit, but nothing has a tag on it. All the tags have been cut out. And so like there's evidence that there was tags. But somebody got rid of them, whether it was this man or somebody else.
Okay.
And there's no clear sign.
And that's suspicious.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't like having tags on my shirts.
That's fair, but do you have tags cut out of literally all the clothes that you're wearing?
I don't have tags on my car. That's how much I don't like them. You know?
I hate tags. They're itchy. I won't put them on my car.
I hate them. No.
Yeah, get those itchy tags off my license plate.
Yeah.
So, no tags. Any of his clothes. Not even his tie. All the tags cut off.
Okay.
So
we'll put that in the might be suspicious if you're trying to make a suspicious column.
That's fair.
I mean, him being dead on a beach, suspicious column.
Suspicious.
Right?
Yeah.
Typed just 2 words on the paper?
Yeah.
Whole paper?
Yeah.
Might be suspicious.
This was before, though, home printers or computers.
You're right. Suspicious column.
Getting
for sure.
something printed wasn't easy. In 1948. So then they started going around and asking locals that lived along this area if they saw anything weird last night.
Okay.
And so they brought a lot of the locals to buy to the police.
Just, I don't know what happened to your brain.
They brought a lot of locals to the police station.
Okay.
To see if they could get an ID.
To like look at
the
him?
body. Yeah, they're like,
Hey, a line of people who were like, I want to see that body.
The police, someone just...
They went door to door.
8 a.m. in
holding
Adelaide.
them up. You know this guy?
Angry dude in his bathrobe with his cup of coffee. He's like, can't you read the sign? He points to his door.
No bodies allowed here. No bodies allowed.
So they call up a bunch of the locals and they come in to look at the body and no one knows who he is.
Okay.
But some people are like, oh, I did see that guy last night. He was walking along the road next to the beach. And he just seemed odd.
Yeah.
And so like he was
Something
doing
seemed odd. I was looking at his clothes. And I was like, he didn't have any tags.
no tags on his clothes. And they're like, how do you know that from outside?
Oh, that's like my power.
I can sense tags.
Your shirt has a tag. Yeah.
Hey, how'd you make that shirt if you didn't get a tag to craft it out of something?
I started with the tag.
They're like, yeah, we saw him walking down the street
Okay.
in that suit and whatever. And we're like, oh, that's peculiar that this dude's like walking along this beach road in a suit. Like most people down here are going to the beach or coming back from the beach. And he's wearing a full suit. So it's a weird place for him to be walking around.
Yeah.
Unless he was going to the beach, which not dressed for it.
Was he wearing shoes?
I've never heard that question asked. So I don't know. I assume so.
Never heard that question asked. Okay.
Nobody in any of the articles I've read.
That's what I'm
or
saying.
videos I've
If he's
watched.
wearing a full suit, I didn't know if he was down there barefoot at the beach.
No,
That's different.
Yeah, there was no description of what was on his feet. So
Okay.
I assume he's wearing shoes.
I assume he has feet.
But one of the witnesses was like, yeah, we saw him just walking along the beach. And we were like, oh, that's kind of odd. And then they were like, at one point, he kind of like lifted his arm up like it was bothering him. And he was like trying to like stretch it and like pop it into place or something like that. And then they were like, and then he put his arm down and he just kind of froze. And they're like, and he just sat there, like blank stare for a long time, like longer than normal amount of time to just stop. And so like they said he like stretched a little bit and then he just froze.
Okay.
Like completely motionless, completely emotionless. And then
Suspicious
eventually
column.
he kept walking. After
Like he's like his player logged out for a second.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
You had to keep
And then
going.
he just kept going.
No, you had to keep going with the episode.
Great. Are you logging out? Cool. Sweet. Excited about that. So some other locals who witnessed him, they said that they had seen him walking along the beach smoking that cigarette. And they thought it was odd because, again, he's wearing a full suit. And they're like, what are you doing
And
on
then
the
he
beach?
logs in. And he's like, that's a pretty good bit to me.
It's fine. And so
It's fine.
So the police, like they invited a bunch of people to look at him. No one knew who he was. They asked for reports. No one.
I hate the police in the 40s and 50s, dude.
Hey, look at this guy.
Hey, will you come look at this guy?
What was odd? There was no clear signs of how he died. Like there wasn't.
There's
any
fingerprints all
wounds.
over his shirt.
There wasn't any wounds, bruising, like no signs of a struggle.
Okay.
And so the police send this guy off to get autopsied, and they were just like, well, let's just wait until a missing persons report comes in. Because
Sure.
someone nearby
Someone's gotta
probably
have
is
been
going to be
like,
like, hey, this guy's gone.
Yeah.
And that never happened. And so then they started checking missing persons report around Australia, and none that matched this guy's description ever came up. And then they spread it out to every English-speaking country, and no matching missing persons report came up for this guy. So then this started to get a little peculiar. There was no evidence that anybody noticed that this guy was gone.
Okay.
Meanwhile, they get this autopsy, and the report comes back. And what was interesting was there was signs
Of rat poison.
There's
And
signs.
toothpicks. This guy had eaten a really gross sandwich at one point.
So there were signs of poisoning.
Oh.
He had a bunch of organs that had shut down.
Okay.
And so it was clear signs of poisoning, but there was no poison in his system. And so what had to happen is there are non-traceable poisons out there that nefarious people will use because it can't be traced. And they when they interact with the body, they have the effect on all your organs. They shut you down.
Sure.
But then there's a chemical reaction that transitions it into just natural chemicals that are in the body. And so when an autopsy is
Okay.
done,
Yeah, it's just not traceable.
yeah, you can't tell what's in there.
Okay.
And so So this was not the Mike Malloy crew. This was a group. This was someone who had the means and the know-how of how to poison someone.
Poison somebody and make it look.
Yeah, have no one know what happened. And so now the police are like, okay, well, this is strange. There's no connection to this guy anywhere. And he was poisoned, but we have no way of tracing it. And so they're like, this is a big mystery. And it hit the news. It started cycling throughout Australia. And it was kind of like the big story of the day. And so they enlisted the public's help. And what they said is hey, we're looking for a couple things. We need to know, does anyone recognize the guy? They put that picture of him in the paper. Does anybody recognize this guy?
That's crazy. We just used to put pictures of dead people in newspapers.
Yeah, I mean...
We don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
There's no pictures of dead people.
I mean, it's not... This is a graphic dead guy, though. Like, he's not graphically
he's not graphic,
dead.
But it's like...
This, like, for all intents and purposes, he's just... I don't know. He's like when your uncle pretends to be dead. That's what he looks like.
What?
He's like... I mean, that's what he looks like.
How often does your uncle pretend to be dead? Stop.
Like,
I don't like looking at this. Just...
You know, like when... when your uncle comes out and you're messing with each other, and then he's just like, "No, you killed me." You know, that's what he looks like.
Okay. This is a weird example to go to. You could have said just anybody pretend to be dead, but you went.
That is like uncle. That's uncle level pretend to be dead.
That's like uncle dead, though.
Yeah,
you know?
This is not anybody dead. This is uncle dead.
That's uncle dead.
Yeah, I'd like you to meet my Uncle Dead.
Uncle Dead is my wrestler name.
So they enlist the public's help. They said, we need a few things. Do you recognize this guy? Here's a picture of this dead guy. Do you recognize him? And then they said, we need a few other things. We're pretty sure he's from out of town. So has anybody noticed any misplaced baggage or unaccounted for baggage anywhere? Just anywhere. So there's that.
Because that was probably his suitcase.
Yeah. And then third, they were like, there was a torn scrap of paper that said Tamam Shud in his pocket. Does anybody know what that means? Or
what the other half says.
Yeah, what it's from. We think it's from a book. Does anybody recognize that phrase from some book? Luckily, they got bites on 2 out of 3 of those things. Nobody knew who he was by looking at him. So that car got taken off the table. But the
luggage.
One of the directors of the railroad station in town called the police and said, "Hey, we got a misplaced luggage over here."
Yes. I kept waiting till we get to this point.
And so the police came and
they show us that briefcase.
They're like, show us that luggage, and they opened it up, and it was the typical thing you would expect in a luggage from someone who's traveling.
Yeah,
some clothes,
13-inch MacBook, you know, iPhone,
and toiletries, stuff like that. What was strange was all the clothes missing tags.
Ooh.
So
put it in the only suspicious if you think it's suspicious column.
Here's what else is interesting.
So they're going on that they go, yeah, this is this guy's suitcase.
Well, here's a couple other interesting
pictures
things.
of him dead in a suitcase. How did they do it? You know,
it's the pictures of him from the paper. They cut him out, snuck him into the briefcase in the railroad.
We're talking time
station.
travel right now. I like it.
No, so the suitcase or the clothes in the suitcase. What else was interesting about it was they were made. There was multiple clothing items in here that were made from a specific kind of threading that wasn't available in Australia. It was only available in the United States at the time.
Okay.
So they went and they checked, and that was the same kind of thread that the man at the beach was wearing. And so they're like, this is a pretty decent connection. The tags are cut out, the same kind of thread, a missing bag from a guy we're pretty sure is from out of town.
This guy's American.
Yeah, he's...
Case closed, we don't care anymore. That's how it works. If an American goes missing in other countries, they go, yeah, stupid Americans.
Bummer, he got lost in another country.
Oh, no, yeah, let's just say a kangaroo got
let him go.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. If you like our show, make sure to leave a podcast review in whatever platform you use, or if you're on YouTube, drop a comment. If you want to listen to another episode, my favorite right now is Jose Canseco. It's this guy in the MLB who really brought steroids mainstream for the sport and did a lot of other just absolutely insane stuff. And there might be a little bit of aliens in it. So check that episode out. It's one of my favorites. But thanks for being here. So, but other than that, there wasn't a lot of good leads, except for there was a couple items in there. One of the ties and like a little canvas bag that had a label on it that said T. Keen. And so like that is a name, probably.
Okay.
So again,
Yeah, I was at detective school, and that gives me the knowledge to know that T is probably an abbreviated first name. Keen might be a last name, you know? Yeah, no, don't worry. I'm here now. We can solve this crime.
so they started calling around for a T. Keen. Couldn't find one. Not in Australia, not in Great Britain, not in the United States, not in Canada. Nowhere.
Where is freaking T. Keen?
There's no T. Keen anywhere. And so the police kind of concluded that they think T. Keen was White Rabbit. Whoever did this, they left that name in there to throw us on that trail and chase that without, it was a
Yeah,
trick.
you poison somebody, you know, make it look like, well, it's harder to do that now, but
Yeah. You try to trick the police.
yeah.
And get them off your trail a little bit. And that was what they thought the T. Keen thing was.
Okay.
Which T. Keen, when you say that, T. Keen, it feels like, did you ever play Crash Bandicoot? We were talking about this in the Discord the other day.
What? Where'd that come from?
Have you ever played Crash Bandicoot?
No,
Really?
I think so. But not enough to be like, I played Crash Bandicoot.
T. Keen sounds like it'd be the name of one of the characters in Crash Bandicoot. We were talking about it in the Discord.
okay.
It made me think of it. Speaking of the Discord, this was recommended by Danley Man, who's recommended a lot of stuff for us.
Yeah.
He's hitting
A true hero of a Patreon supporter, for sure.
So, but anyways, the other thing that came up from them reaching out to the public was that note. And some guy came forward and was like, you're not going to believe this. I think this guy did it, okay?
You think this guy did it?
I think this guy did it.
You're not going to believe this. I touched a spaceship, and there was what I could describe as a download. And I just typed out,
It just said Tamam Shud over and over and over again. So yeah. So are you going to log back in, or am I just going to have to keep powering through right now? Great. Just back. Okay.
what happened?
What happened? It was downloaded.
I was downloaded.
No, what happened was this guy called the police, and he was like, I met this guy named T. Keen last night, and I killed him.
You're not going to believe this.
I killed the guy on the beach.
Guy on the beach, he looked familiar. And I woke up and I was like a little hungover, right? And then I was just remembering my drunken night. And then I went, oh no. I think I killed that guy.
I'm the guy. No, so he said on the night of the murder,
Yeah.
or whatever happened, on the night of the death, he said he lives right by the beach. And so he parked on the street and he left his back window down by mistake. He said he woke up in the morning and somebody had tossed a book in the backseat of his car. And he opened up that book, and the last page of the book was torn in half. And they took it down to the police station, and it lined up with that torn piece that said Tamam Shud. What the book was, and this is why I think he did it, because I was like, how did this... what did I just end up in your
I just
car?
left my window down.
left my window down.
And he threw it in a
Someone
random.
threw it in my car.
Random car. And, you know.
Yeah.
What was the book?
The book
How
was
to
a
Kill
book-
Someone and Get Away with It?
The book was a book called Rubaiyat by Omar Khayyam.
Tamam Shud just means the end.
Yeah, it does, actually. And so, yeah, it's he was a Persian
Which is
poet.
honestly a pretty mobster thing to leave with a dead body.
It's
just the end.
The
What are you,
end.
the Riddler? The end? What is this, that your supervillain call sign is just leaving?
Also very...
What do you call yourself, the bookworm? Right? And you just leave a little the ends. What are you
And
talking
he just
about?
carries that book. He's got like
No, he's got different books.
hundreds,
Yeah. It's all
hundreds
his-
of that book.
Yeah, dude. And you go home and his bookshelf, and that's his
All the books
that's his memento
are missing
from
the
killing
end.
people. Is like, yeah, he pulls it out and he goes, yeah, The Hobbit. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I killed T. Keen. And like the end is ripped out.
The end is
Honestly,
ripped out.
we're writing a movie right now.
Yeah, that could be pretty
That's a
interesting. I'm
pretty
not gonna
good
lie,
killer.
That's pretty cool.
That's at least an
It's-
NCIS episode. You know what I'm talking about? Like, if not a movie.
Not a movie. It's NCIS. And so this, when the police saw this,
Yeah.
their conclusion was
This guy's telling the truth.
the guy committed suicide, and that
Oh.
was his suicide note. That was the way of him saying, "This
Tamam
is the
Shud.
end." Tamam Shud. But that leaves some questions
Okay.
because he showed up in town with a suitcase full of stuff that he just left at the railroad station, the rail station, the train station. There we go, the train station. And then he poisoned himself with an untraceable poison.
Yeah. Well, but that's also the assumption that it was poison. I mean, like, there's other things that could cause all those organs to fail. Like, just.
The autopsy report, the guy who did the autopsy, he said, "I'm confident this was a poison, but I
Yeah.
cannot label
Well, let's look
what
at that
the
guy's
poison
bookshelf. You know? The guy who did the autopsy, I don't trust him.
was." That's another movie, an autopsist.
An autopsist?
A coroner. I like autopsist better. An autopsist.
Oh, yeah, I'm an autopsist.
An autopsist who kills people to get to do the autopsy.
What about a guy who doesn't understand the difference between autopsy and optometry? And so he goes to optometry school thinking, and he's like,
"When do
dude,
we
we're
start?"
spending so much time on the eyeballs. I thought we just closed them. Like, when are we to learn about the rest of the body? Spends 4 years in optometry school.
It doesn't figure it out.
I just like that idea.
Oh gosh. So they label it a suicide, and they kind of close the book, right?
Yeah, sure.
They close Ruby out, which, by the way, was from 11th century Persia.
Oh,
So it's an old book.
interesting.
So another detective, though, was like, "I think we should look a little closer into this." And so he checks
I
the
don't think
book.
this is the end.
Tamam Shud.
Tamam, should I look further into this? Yes.
And so he grabs the book and he notices that on the back cover there are indentations. So he traces the indentations on the back cover, and it's a bunch of letters. It's a string of letters all the way down, like someone had a
Like
piece of
someone
paper,
had, written on
and
the
they
book.
were writing on
Yes.
the back. But those letters.
So you got to do the thing where you put the paper over it and then you just like do the.
So he traced
That's
it.
like true detective work, though. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And it just says, "Be sure to drink your Ovaltine." You know, you're like, "Dadgum, dude, can't get away from these advertisements."
A book from first century. Okay, so he traces it, but it doesn't spell out anything. And they tracked it to every known language, and they're like, "This doesn't spell anything."
Yeah,
So like this must be
it's just the Zodiac
A cipher.
killer's letter.
Who is this?
He's been killing.
He's been doing this. So they're like, this must be a cipher. And so they started trying to decode. They think that the book was used to some kind of code. And so there's something where you're like flipping through the pages. And so that's why they had it on the back cover. He was going through and then writing down those codes.
Sure.
And then once they solved it, he tore that page to go do the kill or the hit or whatever it was. What else was very peculiar is they flipped the book over. The front cover also had indentations.
That's what I was about to ask. Yeah, the front cover.
The front cover was a phone number. And so they look up this phone number, and it belonged to a local woman. Hold on, let me...
That's what it says in the phone book. They didn't have names in the 40s.
Just a local
woman. Rights weren't the same back then,
Oh my gosh! Oh hey, I wanna show you this actually.
Is it another dead person? Hey, I want to show you this real quick.
Unrelated, not even like.
Hey, I want to show you this real quick.
This is the code that they traced on the back cover.
Okay.
And they're like he crossed stuff out too. So it looks like he was working on it, like trying to solve this. So yeah, very strange.
Okay. Okay.
Anyways. But yeah, so then that phone number was traced back to a Jessica Thompson who lived in New South Wales, which was where this happened. She lived like 5 minutes from where this happened.
Okay.
And she was a nurse in the military that served in the war. And so this is...
The World War II or the emu one? Yeah, I served in the war. And people are just like, thank you for your service.
Yeah, you're right.
Wait, were we going to make the Great Emu War veteran hats?
I think we were. Forgot about that.
We got to do that. All right. Sorry.
Certain emu. Okay. And so they called her and they said, hey, you know anything about this? And then she's like, no. And they're like, your number was in the book. And she was like, what book? The phone book?
No, I know. Local woman.
Yeah, they do that. So they asked her to come down. They're like, you want to look at this dead body?
You want to see him?
Well, she comes.
You got to put on your white gloves.
So she comes down to the police station to look at the dead body. And what was interesting is the coroner gave a report saying that her response was very odd. Because remember, she was a nurse in the military.
She's seen dead bodies
World War
before.
II. Yeah, and she's seen probably much more gruesome dead bodies than this. And he said that when she walked in the room, she was fine, like totally, like pretty friendly, normal, whatever. And then they pulled back the blanket or whatever to reveal the man's face. And she said that her countenance totally changed, and it was like she had seen a ghost. And she looked down, refused to look at him. And they're like, do you know this man? And she was like, no, I do not know this man. And then they're like, are you sure that you don't know who this is? She's like, no, I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I've never seen that. And she's like, can I leave now? And they were like insisting, trying to be like, do you know? And she's like, no, I have no idea who that is.
Okay. And they're like, all right, gonna see you later. Goodbye. And she goes, Tamam Shud. What did you just say? I said, I hope tomorrow's good.
So she goes home.
Is she connected to the guy that called in for the book?
No.
Oh, that we know.
Well, I should say I don't know. Maybe she is.
Maybe she threw in the backseat. Oh no.
So at this point, the police are out of ideas.
Sure.
They followed every lead that they have. And they've just said, you know what? We're pretty sure this guy committed suicide. And they buried him in a grave that said the unknown man. But what they did was because they were like, who knows if some more evidence were to come up. And so they embalmed the body. They took a cast of his whole body and kept that at the police station.
Filled it.
Hey, you want to see something?
They filled it, made a statue of him, right? And they put it in the town square. And now he's called the Somerton Man. Right? And they have a big summer festival.
A big festival. There's a museum.
The statue's terrifying, to be honest with you. It looks way scarier. People walk by, they go, "Oh, Uncle Ted." You know, it's not great.
So they took this big cast of them, kept it in the police station, and then they
just
embalmed
kept
the
it
body.
in the police station? What are you talking about? Like, there's
Yeah.
a cast of that guy.
Yeah, just in case some more evidence came forward and they had to.
That's such that's a big cast to just have at the police station is what I'm saying.
I guess. I mean, they had a back closet somewhere where they kept all the other dead casts.
That's a big thing to, okay.
And then they embalmed the body and they buried him in a shallow grave under dry dirt. So that way, if they needed to dig him up, he was embalmed, they could dig him up and they could continue the investigation.
Okay.
The police were just like, we're pretty sure he killed himself, but we don't know for sure. End of story, basically.
Can you, on my tombstone, put the unknown man?
The unknown man. It's kind of a cool thing to have on your tombstone.
That's what I'm saying. It's super cool.
It's pretty cool. And so it became this
and then
thing.
just put the end in some
It's
foreign
some
language.
random language. This became kind of like a folk legend around Australia, and then eventually it started to spread outside of Australia, and everybody had their theories. From the generally accepted theory of suicide to a drunken night that went too far and he had alcohol poisoning to
we're all living a second life. His owner logged out. You know, he forgot to feed him like a Neopet, and then he just died.
The most common theory, though, is that he was a spy.
Clearly.
Which checks out. He cut out all of his tags.
Why would that? You keep going to that. Why would spies need to do that?
So no one could identify him.
The tags of whatever the brand of the shirt you're wearing?
Yeah, they tell you what size shirt you wear. And they also say Canada, US, whatever, like wherever it was sold.
Okay.
So people could track you at least a little bit.
What information do you have on your shirt tag? Don't wash this way.
I don't have a tag.
Play the Twilight Zone. Play that over the. I don't have a tag.
Might be suspicious.
That might be suspicious.
But then he's got this, the book and the code and the coming into town. No one knows who he is.
Yeah.
The suspicious death.
That lady who was like, no,
I don't know who he is. Yeah. And so the theory is that she was another spy.
Oh.
She did the killing because they were like enemy spies.
Enemy spies.
Yeah, they're enemy spies.
Okay.
Because she did have a military background.
It's true.
And so
in the Emu War.
Yeah, and she lived nearby. So she threw the book in the car, killed the guy, left the note. While she deciphered the code, found her mark, left her phone number on the book.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what was the...
Ripped out the
Why
thing.
is she writing down her own phone number?
It's a brand new number. She just left the Verizon store. Had to remember it.
Yeah.
Can't forget that. Now gotta solve this code.
And she lived 5 minutes away. So you think they tapped her because she's a local spy?
Yeah, that's what.
You think it works like Uber? Where they're just like, we got to hit. Let's find the closest spy. The algorithm identifies who's closest.
Yeah, here's a spy. Do they need them to kill someone listen to someone?
Kill this guy for $6.39. Accept.
Deal.
Surge pricing.
Yeah. Surge pricing. So another theory, though, was that they were lovers. And
that's where I was going. Yeah.
And he had traveled to come see her. They had gotten into some sort of disagreement.
She went, where's your tags? And he's like, I cut them out. I don't like the way they feel. I made those shirts for you. I started with the tag and I made a shirt.
And you just ripped the tag right out.
You ripped my heart out, Thomas Keene.
So
let's go get some drinks. Okay.
Okay, weird.
Suspicious? Sorry. Suspicious only if you're trying to be suspicious. Sure.
So he came to town, and on that book, I don't know if he was trying to write out a love note, but that's all he could muster.
All he wrote out.
All he could muster.
That's post-poison right there. That's him going,
Virgo Abbott.
Malia Boaya QC. Titim Sam Sigad. Sign here. That's what that line in the middle looks like. Sign
you
here.
You gotta sign it.
As you sign, we're married forever.
This is a wedding. Hey, Thomas, are you here? Thomas, give me that book. I'm throwing this in someone's car. This isn't ours. That was theirs. We just took that book.
Oof. I'm gonna go lay down on the beach.
Here, take this cigarette and fireworks.
So it's potential. I'm too poisoned for this. Hey, thank you again for listening to this episode. Making sure that you don't miss one in the future, go ahead and subscribe to this podcast, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You'll get an alert when we drop a new episode. And if you want more, if you want something a week early, you want to be part of our Discord, more access to us as creators, you can support this show on Patreon. It helps us go a long way. Nothing that we're doing is possible without our Patreon supporters. If you want more information about that, please text TILLN to 66866. Thank you so much for being here.
So he came to see this girl, and she was not interested. So not interested that she killed him, or so not interested that he killed himself.
Or
those are the two.
So not interested, she gave him a
sides.
fake phone number. That fake number happens to belong to a spy who then killed him.
Yeah.
Why do you
what
have
a
my phone
rough
number? Time,
what
you know?
Yeah, what an unlucky
This is an unlucky
connection.
draw.
So anyways, those are kind of the leading theories. Today, though, actually 2 days ago, something interesting happened.
Okay.
On July 26th, 2022, there's a guy by the name of Derek Abbott, who is a professor at the University of Adelaide, who has been obsessed with this for decades.
Healthy.
Let's tell Derek Abbott's story for a second. So Derek Abbott...
He's dead.
Here's a picture of
Here's a picture of Derek Abbott. Jeez. So he's a professor.
Derek, he's a professor, and he was like, I think we can solve this. And so he started digging and doing some research.
Literally or figuratively?
Figuratively.
Okay.
Well...
We'll get there.
Figuratively, literally. So he started doing some research, and his thought was, if we could identify the family tree, then maybe we could identify who this guy is.
Where he fits in, sure.
And figure out what happened to him if we know who he is.
23 and meet the body?
Well, he went and he asked the police, he said, hey, remember when you took a cast of that dead guy like 60 years ago? Could I have it? And they were like, okay. So he took it and he
it's on the third floor. Anything with red tape on it? That's yours.
So he took it, and inside the cast, lo and behold, some hairs had stuck to the cast. And so he took it and started doing some DNA research on it. That was mostly...
Threw it into Ancestry.com.
Yeah, it was mostly inconclusive. But in doing that, he had a couple ideas, because we had the identity of that woman who had the phone number.
True.
And so he was able to find out that woman with the phone number was pregnant at the time.
Oh.
And she was dating a guy that she later married, but it was not his child. That child that was born, his name was Robin. And a significant detail about Robin is Robin grew up to become a professional ballet dancer. Something that was very strange about the body on the beach was that he had extremely muscular calves. People
This is a
often
joke.
remarked,
Stop.
this is
a
100%
joke. This is you're
serious.
such an idiot right
This
now.
is 100%
Shut
serious.
up.
It's 100% serious.
Something
He had-
very interesting about him was that he died and his ankles just. I mean, it looked like he'd spent his whole life on his toes. You know.
A witness said, I saw him just bounding down the street, pirouetting.
his shoulder. Hold on. I think
Move it to suspicious.
we and Abbott just cracked this thing. Mostly Abbott, but also we were involved, right?
The way you just... That is a ballet move right there.
I don't
That arm
know.
thing, that's a ballet thing. So what they said was they often remarked the size of his calves, how muscular his calves
Who's
were.
they? People were just talking about his calves.
Yeah, a lot of people saw this
Please
body.
put that on my tombstone. The unknown man, remarkable calves. I know that we filmed this show. There's a table and you can't see my calves, but I'm gonna be real with you.
They're great.
Woo, baby.
Great calves.
Dude, I was a baseball catcher growing up. My legs are awesome.
He also was described as having petite feet.
Shut up. That is
It's
not
100%
You're telling me
true.
you didn't bring that up earlier when I said, hey.
Well, I wanted the big reveal.
Yeah, what's his shoes like? Hey, it's funny you
No
mentioned
one
that.
talked about
His
him.
feet were petite.
petite. So everybody, especially the police,
Everybody was talking about it.
everybody,
Did you
especially
see the
the
calves on
police.
that? Did you see the calves on that cast that we got back there?
Look at her calf cast. So the police were like, we're pretty sure this guy was a ballet dancer.
I've been working on my calves lately, and every once in a while I sneak back to that room, open up that cast, and put my calf in there to see if it's like sized up or not, you know? That's calf goals.
So the police were like, this guy's a ballet dancer.
Shut
That was the
up.
conclusion that they made.
But all the way back then.
All the way back then, the police were like, this guy's a ballet dancer. And so when Abbott traced that girl who was pregnant, had a
And
baby,
the son is a
and
ballet
the son
dancer.
grew up to become a professional ballet dancer. Abbott was like, well, that's pretty significant. So he went to track down that woman, but she had since died. So she went to track down Robin, but he had also since died.
Oh.
But luckily, he was a professional ballet dancer. So a lot of people knew about him. So he followed around his paper trail.
Sure.
And he found a woman that the guy had danced with a lot, that he ended up in a relationship with.
They had
And
danced a little bit together. Had danced with a lot. You know, you dance enough with a gal, and then all of a sudden you got 2 kids and a house payment. You know, and it started with a little dance.
started with just a little ballet.
That's why those 8th grade dances, they're very like the chaperones are like, hey,
Yeah.
think this through.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to have a car payment with them? Somebody said that to me in my 8th grade dance. Do you want to have a car payment with her? Really made me think through some things, you know?
Yeah. How much is a car payment?
Well, I don't know how much is going. And at that time, $300 sounds like whoa
Wow.
every month.
No way.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely not. So they had been dancing together for a while, but they were young and they were just coming up, so they did not have a lot of money yet.
sure.
And they had a child
Okay.
who they gave up for
From the
adoption.
dancing.
The dance
That's why
store
the Christian
came
college
and
won't
gave
let you do it. Dancing leads to children.
So they had this child, and they gave her up for adoption. And that girl ended up going and tracking down her mom. And when she was an adult, tracked down her mom,
Yeah.
connected with her mom, and they began doing ballet together. Abbott tracked down that woman, the mom of the woman who had the relationship with Robin before Robin died.
Okay.
Abbott tracked her down and
Also started doing ballet with her. Just you got to establish rapport.
Yeah, they walked in.
I learned that in
And
detective
he's like,
school.
"Hi, I'm Derek,"
Yeah.
and she was like, "You have great calves."
He's like, thank you.
"Thank you."
Would you-
Should I dance with them?
Would you like to dance?
But the mom wanted nothing to do with him. She was like very aggressive, trying to get him to leave. But the daughter, I think her name was Rachel, if I remember right.
Yeah.
She was like, I think we should hear him out. And so she went behind her mom's back and was like, hey, let's meet up. Let's go grab dinner and we can talk through this. Because she had never heard of any of this.
Yeah.
So Derek tells her about the whole case and basically is like,
and petite feet.
yeah, basically Derek is like, I think this guy might be your grandfather that
If
was
we
found.
could put you in the cast and see if your calves match up,
We need to match your calves.
you are the missing link.
And so they have this dinner, and then he kind of does
you
the
wanna
big
see
reveal
him?
where he's like, I think it's you, or I think it's your grandpa. And she's like, okay, well, what do you need from me? And he's like, I need your DNA. And so she agrees, and he takes some of her hair.
In the middle of the restaurant? Thank you.
So you can't cut her hair here.
I'm plucking it.
How many of these do you need to pluck? You can pull. Okay.
Sorry, I logged out there.
So here's the best part of the Abbott story.
Is that they were not related. The DNA showed it. They weren't even close, dude.
The best part of the Abbott story is the next day he proposed to her and they got married and they had 3 kids.
Is that real? Shut up.
It's 100%
That's real? You can't dance with anybody. No way. One dinner together, she says yes to a DNA test, and he's like, well, you said yes to one question. I have another. No.
Yeah, they got married.
So he
they had
basically,
3 kids.
now let's look at this from a different perspective, though. All right, let's look at this from her mom's perspective. Right? Where he shows up and he's like, "Hey, I'm trying to track down who I think might be Robin's dad."
Yeah.
And she goes, "No, I want nothing to do with you." And he's like, "I want to marry your daughter."
I just picture her coming home after that dinner. She's like, hey, I got dinner with that Derek guy. He asked for my DNA. And she's like, well,
And
that's
also
weird.
my hand in marriage. He asked for a hair from my head and my hand in marriage.
Yeah, so they got married, and they bonded over the trying to track down her dead grandpa thing.
And every night before his kids go to bed, he goes, "Let me tell you about your great grandfather." Allegedly,
Well, I watched a documentary.
all three of them ballet dancers. Calves are huge, dude.
Your kid has adult calves.
A scrawny little kid with massive calves, dude. I mean, huge calves.
Right now, they wobble. It's weird.
And it's
but
really
they're gonna
hard
grow
because
into
their
it.
feet are so petite, right? They can't even hold them up, right? They got to be related to that guy. That's bonkers. That's also a breach of boundaries with his own life, right? You can't marry into the story you're trying to figure out.
So, yeah, I watched the documentary. They have this playroom with the kids. The kids are coloring in the playroom, right? And they point over to this wall, and there's this painting. And they're like, that's our grandma. And they talk about it a little bit. And then they turn over, point to the other wall, and they're like, that's the man on the beach. He might be our grandpa. And it's a painting of like what they think he looked like alive.
Oh, I thought it was the picture you showed me in the beginning.
It's the dead picture.
It's the dead uncle picture.
That might be our grandpa.
That might be our grandpa. They put a stocking out for him at Christmas, you know. They photoshopped him in all the family pictures. Well, because she's adopted. She's really not even like connected.
Yeah.
So are they genetically connected or no?
So as of 2 days ago, he came forward to
And
say,
said, I married her. And I'm convinced.
we need to back this story up a little bit.
You think I would do it? You think I would leave my wife and 2 kids to marry this girl if I wasn't sure? Hold on. You were married before?
You were married before this? Here's the important part of the story. This happened like a decade ago.
Okay. Okay.
And he got her hair, and they've been testing it, but it's been inconclusive.
Yeah.
And they've been testing it
He takes one of her hairs every morning on his way to work.
He's like, oh, let me take that. And she's like, honey, I'm running out of hair.
She looks like the doll from Rugrats.
Why does your head look like that?
Oh, my husband's doing research.
Yeah, my husband's trying to find my dead grandpa.
And all the kids go, allegedly.
So he, for about a decade, has been trying to get the Australian government to dig up the body because he wanted, because these have been inconclusive, the DNA tests.
Oh,
he's
and
like,
the body's involved.
If we could get a tooth or something, we could get really good DNA and know for sure.
Sure.
And so he's been trying, but the Australian government's like, bro, you're weird, man. Like, we're not going to do that.
No, mate. We're not going to do that.
And then a new attorney general steps in.
He's like, yeah, give him the teeth.
Yeah.
My first action as attorney general, give that man the teeth.
Dig up all the dead.
They're still alive, guys. Like, he's just crazy. He's like, dig them all up. Get them out of the ground, right?
Why do we put them all on the ground?
And then this guy is like, this guy's crazy, but this is a good opportunity for me.
Great. Let me get my hands on that dead guy. That specific dead guy. So this attorney general was like, yeah, that sounds like a great call. And so they dig up the body, but they were like, the police have to handle this. And so they send it to the coroner to do some DNA testing. This was in 2019, at the end of 2019, which, as you remember, 2020 happened, sidelined everything for a little while.
Well, they can't do DNA tests in 2020?
Yeah, you got to get really close to the body.
Get COVID.
I don't know. It sidelined the project for a little bit, but they just went back to it. And the police are still working on it. But I guess
as of 2 days ago,
I guess Derek Abbott has not stopped working on it. He
Not
doesn't
clearly.
have the body, so I don't know what he's getting his
but he's
DNA
got the
from.
time.
I guess. And so he's come forward to the Australian CNN, and he's said that he's identified the Somerton Man as a Carl Charles Webb, who was an electrical engineer and an instrument maker, born in Melbourne in 1905. And he says he's still researching his connection to everything and what happened to him, but he's confident that that's who that is. And so CNN went to the police and were like, can you
verify this?
confirm?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, well, we can't comment on this at this point in our investigation. So Abbott is pretty confident of who it is, which this would be no relation to his wife. Well, maybe.
Carl wouldn't?
Maybe. I guess maybe. It's not. I think it's not. Maybe I shouldn't say he wouldn't be.
He's like, yeah, I'm trying to figure out who this guy is so I can marry his actual granddaughter.
I'm looking for his granddaughter. He's got really tiny calves, and he's like, I don't want to carry that gene on. So he's confident that it's this Carl Charles Webb, but there's not. The police haven't confirmed that, and he hasn't identified like the storyline yet. He's just come forward to say, I've got an ID.
Okay.
So, and that was 2 days ago. So this is a developing story. So keep your TVs tuned to TILLN.TV.
Don't do that.
Because we're going to report it to you first. All of your calf-related news.
Yeah.
That's the Somerton Man. It's an unsolved mystery. We still don't know. The documentaries are weird.
What possesses somebody to go, I'm going to dedicate my life to this?
I mean, if you're Derek, you're looking for your wife.
I just know that man's granddaughter is my soulmate.
There's a scene in the documentary where they were walking along the beach together, and they like sat down on a rock together, and they're like right there. That's where he died. And then
That's real?
Yeah. And then he was like, you know, if it weren't for that, we never would have. If it weren't for Grandpa's possible murder.
Yeah, that's what I used to say whenever I used to meet girls at funerals. Did you know that? I used to go pick them up at funerals. You know, just go hang out. Be like, sad, isn't it? Yeah,
Sad, isn't it?
but if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be meeting right now.
yeah.
You know,
This is
it was
the
a
start of our
great
love
pickup
story.
line.
No.
No. Yeah. Do you know who that guy's granddaughter is?
Anybody know that guy's granddaughter?
I just hate the idea. Does anybody else have any words? Yeah. Which one of you is his granddaughter?
Oh gosh. So anyway, that's the Somerton Man. Crazy story.
Wow.
No real conclusion. But maybe soon. Maybe soon we'll know. I personally,
So you would say that this is the Tamam Shud of the episode?
yeah, I want to say my theory though. I personally think that he probably
Fiddle Off.
Hey, thanks for watching Things I Learned Last Night. If you like this video, we have others you can watch, or we have highlighted some of our favorite moments from shows. Please make sure to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future episodes. And leave a comment below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week on Things I Learned Last Night.